No one in the town of Dry Creek could remember a morning as heavy as that one. The sun rose slowly, as if even it was reluctant to witness what was about to happen. Dust hung in the air like an unspoken accusation, and the wooden gallows in the town square creaked softly with every passing breeze. People gathered in uneasy clusters, whispering, pointing, convincing themselves they were right to be there. At the center of it all stood Elena Morales. She was barely 19, thin from years of hunger and hardship, her dark hair braided neatly despite the chains around her wrists. Her eyes, wide, honest, and painfully calm, moved slowly across the crowd. Not in anger, not in fear, but in quiet disbelief, as if she were still waiting to wake from a nightmare. Elena had arrived in Dry Creek 2 years earlier with her ailing mother after drought swallowed their small farm whole. Her father had died on the road west, buried beneath a wooden cross made by strangers who would never remember his name. From that moment on, Elena became both daughter and provider. She cleaned homes, stitched torn clothes, and cared for children who weren't hers, asking for little and expecting less. She was known as the good girl, the virgin, the quiet one who went straight home after work, the girl who prayed before every meal, even when there was barely food to bless. And now, she was known as a murderer. The accusation came suddenly. A wealthy landowner named Harold Whitman vanished one night after being seen drinking at the saloon. By morning, panic spread like wildfire. Whitman owned half the land around Dry Creek, and powerful men wanted answers. Someone remembered seeing Elena near his property earlier that week. She had been delivering laundry. Someone else claimed she looked nervous. Another swore they heard her arguing with him, though no one could recall the words. Rumors hardened into truth before Elena ever had a chance to speak. The trial lasted less than an hour. No evidence, no witnesses, just fear, pressure, and a desperate need to restore order. The judge, worn down and eager to please the town's most influential voices, slammed his gavel and pronounced the sentence. Hanging. At sunset. As the noose was placed around her neck, Elena's thoughts were not of death, but of her mother lying alone in a rented room, waiting for a daughter who would never return. Her lips trembled, not with terror, but with sorrow for the life she never got to live. She whispered a prayer. That was when the laughter broke through the silence. It was loud, rough, and wildly inappropriate. Heads turned in shock as a man stumbled out of the saloon, a half-empty bottle swinging loosely from his fingers. His hat was crooked, his beard unkempt, and his boots dragged against the dirt like he had lost an argument with gravity itself. "Hold on now," he slurred. "Y'all gonna kill a girl before I've had my say." The crowd groaned. It was Jack Callahan, the town drunk. A cowboy who'd lost his ranch, his wife, and his reputation to bad luck and worse choices. Most people avoided him. Others laughed at him. No one took him seriously. The sheriff sighed. "Jack, go home." Jack squinted at the gallows, then at Elena. His expression changed, not suddenly, but deeply. Something sober flickered behind his glassy eyes. "She ain't guilty," he said. The judge scoffed. "And how would you know?" Jack took a step forward, nearly tripping. "Because I was there." A hush fell over the square. "I was at Whitman's ranch the night he disappeared," Jack continued. "Drunk, sure. But not blind. Not deaf." The sheriff stiffened. "Why didn't you come forward earlier?" Jack laughed bitterly. "Who'd believe me? A drunk cowboy with nothing left to lose." Elena looked at him for the first time. Hope. Stirred, small, fragile, dangerous. Jack explained that he had taken shelter near Whitman's property that night. He saw Whitman arguing with two men from out of town, men known for shady land deals. He saw a struggle. He heard a gunshot. And then he saw those men ride off into the darkness. The crowd murmured. The judge hesitated. But words alone weren't enough. Then Jack did something no one expected. He dropped to his knees. "I know I ain't worth much," he said, voice cracking. "I drink too much. I've failed more times than I can count. But I won't let an innocent girl die because it's easier than finding the truth." He pulled something from his pocket and held it up, a silver pocket watch engraved with Whitman's initials. "I took this off the ground that night," Jack said. "Didn't think it mattered. But it does. And so does she." Silence. The judge ordered an immediate halt to the execution. A search party was sent. By dawn, Whitman's body was found miles away, and the real killers were captured trying to flee the state. Elena collapsed into tears, not of fear, but of release. Jack was arrested too, not for lying, but for public drunkenness. When Elena visited him in jail, she brought food and gratitude he couldn't look at directly. "You saved my life," she said softly. Jack shook his head. "No, I just finally did one thing right." Weeks later, Jack quit drinking. Elena found work at a schoolhouse. The town, ashamed, slowly learned that goodness doesn't always look respectable, and truth doesn't always arrive sober. On the day Jack was released, Elena's mother was waiting with her. And as the sun set over Dry Creek once more, not on a gallows, but on a second chance, the town understood something it had forgotten. Sometimes, humanity shows up in the most unexpected form. Sometimes, redemption staggers in drunk, only to stand tall when it matters most. And sometimes, one act of courage is enough to save a life, and a soul.